Have you ever wondered how our world was shaped by the battles of the past? The story of humanity is often written not in ink, but in blood, on the battlefields that defined epics. Today, we journey back to witness the pivotal clashes that forged our modern world. These are not just tales of kings and conquerors, but of ideas born, cultures shaped, and destinies decided. From ancient Greece to the Pacific, these battles influenced our languages, freedoms, and the very lines on our maps. Through rare footage, immersive animations, and expert insights, we'll bring these moments to life. Join me, Loe, as we uncover not just what happened, but why it still matters. In 490 BC, the mighty Persian Empire sought to crush Athens and its radical experiment, democracy. Outnumbered, Athenian citizen soldiers stood together, defending their city and ideals. Their daring tactics and courage turned the tide, defeating the Persians. The legend of Pheidippides' run was born, a symbol of sacrifice and victory. The victory at Marathon preserved democracy's future, echoing through history and shaping the freedoms we cherish today. 1066. England faces a succession crisis. King Edward dies without an heir. Harold Godwinson is crowned, but William of Normandy claims the throne. Two invasions threaten England. Harold defeats the Norwegians in the north, but his army is exhausted when William lands in the south. Harold force-marches his troops to Senlac Hill, forming a dense shield wall atop the ridge. The Normans attack relentlessly, but the English line holds, until discipline breaks. William's feigned retreats lure English soldiers from their positions, exposing them to cavalry attacks. As dusk falls, Harold is killed, struck by an arrow, then cut down. The English resistance collapses. If Harold had won, England might have remained Anglo-Saxon, its language and culture forever changed. Instead, the Norman conquest replaces the ruling class, introduces feudalism, and fuses Norman and Anglo-Saxon cultures. The English language absorbs thousands of French words, evolving into what we speak today. England's political fate becomes entwined with France, leading to centuries of conflict and the rise of a centralized state. The Magna Carta and the roots of parliamentary democracy emerge from the post-conquest struggle for power. Hastings was not just the end of Anglo-Saxon England, it was the birth of modern England. The arrow that killed Harold ended one world and began another. The consequences ripple outward legal systems, language, and global influence. The battle's outcome shaped the British Empire and, by extension, the modern world. Hastings is a reminder that a single day can alter the destiny of nations. The fusion of cultures created a unique English identity. The legacy of Hastings endures in law, language, and governance. The battle's lessons discipline, adaptability, and the power of leadership. Hastings stands as a turning point in Western history. The world we know was born on that Sussex hillside. The Norman victory set the stage for centuries of change. The echoes of Hastings are heard in every English word and institution. The battle's legacy is woven into the fabric of our lives. Hastings was not just a battle, it was the making of a nation. June 18, 1815. Napoleon Bonaparte faces his final reckoning on a rain-soaked Belgian field. After years of war, Napoleon returns from exile, raising an army for one last bid for power. The Seventh Coalition, Britain and Prussia, scrambles to stop him. Napoleon's plan: defeat Wellington before Prussian reinforcements arrive. Rain delays his attack, giving the Prussians time to close in. The battle begins with a diversion at Hougoumont, escalating into a brutal struggle. Wellington's troops, expertly positioned, withstand French assaults. The French attack falters, British and Prussian forces hold firm. As the Prussians arrive, Napoleon commits his elite Imperial Guard in a final assault. For the first time, the Guard breaks and flees. The French army collapses. Had Napoleon won, Europe's map and history would be unrecognizable. French dominance, a fractured coalition, and a different world order. Instead, Waterloo ends 2 decades of war and ushers in a century of relative peace under British influence. The Congress of Vienna redraws borders and restores monarchies, shaping Europe for generations. Waterloo is a masterclass in defensive warfare, coalition strategy, and the importance of timing. Napoleon's defeat marks the end of an era and the rise of international cooperation. The battle's legacy, the spread of legal equality, the suppression of revolutionary ideals, and the seeds of future change. Waterloo's lessons endure. Leadership, logistics, and the unpredictability of war. The defeat of Napoleon shapes the modern world. The battle's outcome influences civil liberties and the balance of power. Waterloo is a turning point in European history. The echoes of that day still shape our world. The battle's lessons are studied by leaders and strategists to this day. Waterloo was not just the end of Napoleon, it was the dawn of a new era. The legacy of Waterloo is found in every peace and alliance that followed. The world we know was forged on that muddy field. Waterloo's impact endures in the order and freedoms we value. World War II. Stalingrad, a city on the Volga, becomes the turning point of the war and the deadliest single battle in history. Hitler's armies drive deep into the Soviet Union, seeking oil and a symbolic victory. The city is bombed to ruins, but Soviet defenders refuse to yield. Urban warfare turns Stalingrad into a nightmare, fought in rubble, factories, and sewers. Every building becomes a fortress, every street a battlefield. The Germans, masters of blitzkrieg, are bogged down in brutal close-quarters combat. Meanwhile, the Soviets amass forces for a massive counterattack. Operation Uranus encircles the German Sixth Army, trapping hundreds of thousands. Hitler forbids retreat. The Luftwaffe cannot supply the besieged troops. Starvation, cold, and relentless Soviet attacks doom the Germans. Had Stalingrad fallen, the Soviets might have lost their oil, and the war's outcome could have changed. Instead, the German defeat shatters the myth of invincibility and shifts the initiative to the Soviets. The Red Army pushes west, eventually reaching Berlin. Stalingrad's scale is staggering. Millions of casualties, unimaginable suffering. The battle redefines urban warfare and the importance of logistics. For the Soviets, it becomes a symbol of resilience and sacrifice. The victory solidifies Stalin's regime and sets the stage for the Cold War. The Iron Curtain rises from the rubble of Stalingrad. The battle's legacy, the cost of total war, the power of determination, and the shaping of the modern world. Stalingrad's lessons endure in every city rebuilt from the ashes. The echoes of that battle still shape global politics. Stalingrad was not just a victory, it was a defining moment for humanity. Its legacy is a warning and a testament to the human spirit. June 1942. The Pacific Ocean. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, Japan seeks to destroy the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Midway. Admiral Yamamoto's complex plan aims to lure American carriers into a trap, but U.S. cryptanalysts, led by Commander Rochefort, break the Japanese code and uncover the target. Admiral Nimitz takes a huge risk, committing his only 3 carriers to ambush the Japanese. As Japanese planes attack Midway, their carriers are left vulnerable. American torpedo bombers are slaughtered, but their sacrifice draws Japanese fighters down. At that moment, U.S. dive bombers strike, destroying 3 Japanese carriers in minutes. A 4th is sunk later that day. Had the code not been broken, the U.S. fleet might have been annihilated, changing the course of the war. Instead, Japan loses 4 carriers and its best pilots. Its offensive power crippled. The tide of the Pacific War turns. The U.S. begins its island-hopping campaign toward Tokyo. Midway is the first major naval battle fought entirely by aircraft. Fleets never see each other. The aircraft carrier becomes the new queen of the seas, reshaping naval strategy forever. Midway is a victory of intelligence, risk, and sacrifice. The bravery of the torpedo bomber pilots is legendary. The battle secures the American homeland and ensures U.S. industrial might can be brought to bear. The outcome shapes the post-war world order. Midway's lessons, the power of information, the value of courage, and the impact of a single decision. The battle's legacy endures in every modern navy. Midway was not just a battle, it was the fulcrum of the Pacific War. Its echoes are felt in every alliance and strategy since. The victory at Midway changed the fate of nations. The lessons of intelligence and sacrifice remain vital. Midway's impact endures in the balance of power across the seas. The battle's outcome shaped the world we know. Midway stands as a testament to the power of knowledge and resolve. The future of the Pacific was decided in those crucial minutes. Midway's legacy is one of courage, innovation, and turning the tide. We've journeyed from Marathon to Midway, witnessing how single days and decisions shaped civilization. These battles are more than history, they're the crucibles that forged our governments, cultures, and identities. Studying them isn't about glorifying war, but understanding its costs and consequences. The echoes of these battles still shape our freedoms, laws, and global tensions. The greatest lesson: learn from the past to choose a wiser future. By understanding conflict, we value diplomacy and strive for peace. The future is unwritten. The most important battles are those we can still choose to avoid.